In this tutorial, we'll review the steps for conducting a hypothesis test for one sample mean and its associated confidence interval in SPSS. For this example, I'm going to be using a dataset called world95.save. It's a sample dataset that already exists in SPSS and provides data on 109 different countries. The variable that I'm going to be looking at for this one is calories, or daily caloric intake, the average daily caloric intake for that particular country. To do a hypothesis test for a one sample mean, you need to go to Analyze, down to Compare Means, to what's called a one sample t-test, as from the t-distribution that's used to calculate the probabilities. From there, select the variable that you want. Now you can get more than one variable, but everything's going to have the same test value, the null hypothesis. I'm going to be using daily caloric intake, which is right here. I'm going to move that over. Now I have to give it a value that I'm comparing it against to find out if it's statistically significantly different from that value. The recommended daily caloric intake for adult women is perhaps 2,000 calories a day, and for men it can be 2,500 or more. Let's split the difference and say we're looking at, we want to compare whether our countries are significantly different from, for instance, 2,300 calories a day. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put in 2,300. Now, under options, I can get different confidence intervals. 95 is the standard one, but I can change it to other ones if I want. I'm not going to, so I'm just going to hit cancel, and I'm going to hit OK now. And the output starts with a written version of the command that I just did for this t-test. This says t-test is the beginning of the actual procedure that I did. This says what data I used. This gives the number of countries that have caloric data. Now there's 109 countries in the sample, but we only have calorie data for 75 of them. The mean is 2753, which is higher than the value that I put down of 2300. There's the standard deviation and the standard error. The t-test first specifies the value that we're comparing it against. I put in 2300 as a rough guess. And the t-test, the t-statistic, is 6.922. That has to do with how many standard errors this number is above this number. The degrees of freedom has to do with the sample size. And this is the important one right here. This is the probability value, or significance, two-tailed, and it's less than 0.001. So this is a statistically significant difference. In fact, it's a pretty huge difference. We also have a confidence interval for how different the value of 2753 is, that's the observed mean, is from my proposed test value of 2,300 calories. And given the fluctuation in the data, there's a 95% probability that the true value would be somewhere between 323 calories more than the test value to 584 calories more than the test value. And that's how you do the hypothesis test for one sample mean and the associated confidence interval in SPSS.